therapist told me that I should start video journaling my experiences. You can hear the plane up. I don't know whether to start from a beginning or start in the middle. Don't know the end yet, of course. But today, I decided a couple of days ago, with all my experiences and all my crap that I'm going through. Crap is in relationship, love, family, you know, things that we all go through at some point in time. Decided to get away, and this is a beautiful place to get away. Look at that. Is that not just so nice? It's relaxing. My little Frenchie likes it. She got out this morning while I was watching the sunrise, but all I had to do was say treat, and she came right back. I think she was chasing the deer. It was confusing her. It was bigger than our lab that we have at home, which I did not bring because she would be all over the place. She had taken after the deer and thought that they'd want to play. But today, last night is when I decided that the relationship that ended earlier in October, after almost 2 years, he ended it, citing that I, to him, was too emotional and dramatic, and he believes I didn't love him enough because I couldn't show it to him the way he wanted me to show it to him. See, I lost my husband of 20 years 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and it was devastating. Losing Randy was the end of my world at that point. He helped me raise my 2 children, and he was a good guy. He was a really good guy. Although he had his own insecurities and he had his own issues, which I found out after he died by going through his phone and his computer. Okay, note to self, note to others. Don't go through their phone. Don't go through their computer. Trash it all immediately, even though you have longing and desires to go through all of his information. Chunk it in the trash. You don't want to know. You really don't. But when you do find out and you do know, it is utterly heartbreaking. Through my entire marriage, he had been seeing other women. And I just didn't know how to handle that. I didn't know how to process that, because he would say, I love you. And I'd say, I love you. And he'd say, no, I love you more. We had this statement between the two of us that he always followed it up with, I love you more. I felt safe. I trusted him. He was my entire world wrapped up. We fought just like all the other couples fight. We were good to each other. We were great on paper. I will say this, he left me well taken care of, hence why I can enjoy this lovely site on a whim. So I'm grateful for his financial aspect of that result. And I feel sad that he had his own insecurity issues. But what ended up happening is I started taking up some of those insecurities after I read everything and approached a couple of the women. Don't do that either. Don't do that. I even tried writing a book about it. Don't do that either. That was a mistake. That was a huge mistake. It brings up so many empty feelings. So immediately, 6 months after his death, I needed attention. I needed somebody to love on me. I needed to feel like I was important. So I met a man 15 years younger than me, and he said all the right things. He did all the right things. It was a whirlwind of just emotions trapped in sexual love. And we got together, we broke up, we got together, we broke up. It was a cycle of emotions between the two of us. He was an alcoholic, and I didn't know it at first. See, we can just go into the fact that I am naive by all means. I believe and trust people immediately. And I didn't realize it until a couple of months in. And then I realized there was a problem here. And he was, when he would get drunk, he would get belligerent and dramatic and emotional. And I couldn't say anything to calm him down. And I tried. And so I distanced myself. I did the no contact. I shut him out of my world. He came back even stronger, and the more I loved you, and the attention grabbing, and again, saying all the right things, doing all the right things, I took him back. And this was a cycle. And with this cycle, is so funny. I have been reading in the Bible app, and I've been reading on Audible, listening, all the trauma bonding that is there. You know, geez, I'm 57 years old. I didn't know anything about this trauma bonding. I've been married. So I don't want to label the relationship we had, but it aligns very closely with so many type of things that they're saying that is, you know, trauma bonding, and the one where it's attachment disorder or detachment disorder. And I think the label, there shouldn't be a label. What it is he was struggling in his own right, and I was trying to struggle in my own right with how I needed trust back, and I'd only known how to be a wife, and I was putting that into the relationship, and I shouldn't have, because I didn't know any better. I was using my old habits of love, and then it was just a cycle of just give and take. And for over a year, he was this alcoholic, and I dealt with this. We'd get back together, we would go on a vacation, and it would start up again because he would start drinking heavily, and it was just this terrible cycle. And then the beginning of this year, 2025, again, it blew up so bad. And I said, I have to take time out for myself. I have to figure out what I want, because this back and forth is emotionally draining and making me feel like I don't know how to love someone properly. I'm doing everything wrong. So earlier in the 2025, I broke up with him again, and I thought that was going to be the end of it. And it was hard on me, but it wasn't devastating. And we didn't talk for 3 months. Although he did send me roses almost every single day, which ended up in the trash can almost every single day. Or I would give them to a neighbor, or I would give them to a friend. It became a joke with all of my friends, because they're like, "Did you get roses today?" So I heard from him about 3 months later. I think it was in April. And he said he had cancer and he wanted to talk to me. And my heart bled for him. I mean, I still had so much love for him in my heart and my soul. And when he told me he had cancer, I listened to him. We texted, we talked on the phone. And he didn't want me to go with him, but so then, because he didn't want me to go with him, I thought, is he telling me the truth, or is this a cycle of something going on? And he told me he had quit drinking. He had just stopped drinking because of the chemo that he was going through. And he couldn't do any pot. He couldn't do any kind of anything while in chemo. And I believed him. I believed him. And so I said, okay, I'll meet up with you. So we had coffee and we talked through things, and immediately started, having sexual relations again, which is intense. So intense. It's like a magnet that brings us together when it involves that. And it's like you can't separate as when it's this. And so much more intense than I've ever experienced in my life. And not just the acts of it, just the emotions when we are in the bedroom together. And I enjoyed the type of love that you think that you're getting through that act. And so we started seeing each other every day, and he was still doing chemo. Then he got through chemo and he found another job, and he loves his job, and I'm so proud of him. What he's doing right now is something that's a passion of mine, feeding children, and he's traveling the United States. He's making an impact, and he's making an impact on himself. And we started seeing, like I said, seeing each other every day. We weren't living together, but he was at my home quite a bit. And I couldn't tell you why my emotions started getting, I felt like something was wrong. I felt something in my soul was wrong. It was a strange feeling, and it would anger me, and I became short-tempered. I could say menopause started all over again. I don't know. And I would apologize. And he remained calm, but then what I noticed, he started like making little jokes about me. And then I'd look at him and say, "Why did you say that?" And he'd say, "Oh, I was just kidding. It was just a joke." Well, I started feeling that this isn't right. So again, my short-tempered started kicking in. And you've heard the statement about, like, I'm only 5'2". You've heard that statement about short women and their IBS and their short attitudes. That's me. I have it all. I am the epitome of that. Epitome of that. And so I started becoming short. he started making fun of me. And it started compounding. And he would be gone quite a bit. And so we wouldn't see each other for quite so weeks on end. I did fly up to New York to see him. And we had an amazing time, just the two of us. Love New York. I want to go back. I could live there. It's a beautiful place, compared to Texas. But Texas is my home. We come back from New York, and again, my short-tempered kicks in. And all of a sudden, he sends me a text, and he said, I want to break up with you. Put my stuff on the porch. Goodbye. And it like, we didn't even talk about it. We didn't, there was no fight in that respect. There was just, he just said, I'm breaking up with you, and put my stuff on the porch. This was like death all over again. This was so short, so quick, so emotional for me that it really broke my heart, because he didn't want to work things out. But he never mentioned, and he didn't mention that this wasn't working even before that. Then a couple of days later, on his Facebook page, he has a girl with him, and they're all sweet and loving, and I was like, what's going on? And I texted him, and I said, do you already have someone you're seeing? And he really didn't answer the question other than, she makes me happy. And I said, it's been like less than a week. Were you seeing her while we were seeing each other? And he swears up and down he wasn't. But again, there's that trust thing that is kind of creeping into my head. But in this meantime, while I'm asking him this question, he's telling me that he loves me. I love you. You're my heart. She makes me happy. This is confusing. What woman or man would not think that's confusing? You tell me you love me, but yet she makes you happy. So my emotions are way up there. Like super tight. Like I'm ready to explode, because I don't understand what's going on. And I'm not the kind that I'm not the kind of person that will approach things head on, but something in me stirred like nobody's business. And I'm a faith, I love my faith, and I want to do right. And I made a mistake, and I went on her Facebook page and I messaged her a snippet of him telling me he loves me 2 days before that, and said, this is the kind of man that you're involved with. 30 minutes go by, and I was like, oh my gosh, that was the wrong thing to do. That was a wrong thing to do. That was so wrong of me to do. That was like a wrath. I have to take it. I have to go back. So I went back into her messenger, and it said I could unsend it. So I unsent it, and then I deleted it. And I was like, oh, that was terrible of me. I can't believe I did that. So a couple of days passed, and he writes me just a couple of days after that, and still, I love you. And then he wants to know if he can come over and have sex. And I said, no, you're seeing another woman. That's not going to happen. And then a couple of days later, again, my emotions are really high. So I texted him. I know I shouldn't have, because the no contact thing. See, you're supposed to do that no contact thing. So a couple of days later, I messaged him that I just needed to talk to him. And I could tell he had blocked me on everything. And I didn't understand why he had blocked me on everything. So I emailed him, from another email, and I said, why did you block me? Why did you block me? And he said, he wrote me back after a couple of times of my emails. Crazy lady here. So he wrote me back and he said, leave me alone, never talk to me again. Okay. I'm thinking, okay. So then in the middle of the night, he texts me and he said, why did you do that? Why did you do that to her? And I was like, oh my God, she saw it. I said I unsent it. I repented. I'm so sorry that I did that. That was the wrong thing to do. And I am just so sorry that I did that to her. Even though I said to him, even though I did that and I unsent it and I deleted it, it wasn't a lie. I didn't make something up to her. I didn't make it up. You told me you loved me 2 days before that. So I thought I said, I'm sorry. I should not have done that. And so the next thing, he said, well, I don't want to talk to you. And I said, okay, fine. So a couple of days passed. And again, I get the, I love you, can't live life without you, let's have sex. And I said, no, I can't do this. I can't have sex with you if you're seeing someone else. And he says, okay. So a couple of nights ago, I'm in my Bible app and I am doing some prayers and I have some plans in there that I'm working on to help me, to get me through my insecurities and my troubles in my head that I'm trying to work this through. And he starts commenting on things that I had liked. Again, at that point, I'm not friends with him in the Bible app. He apparently can see what I'm doing, which then I had to Google that. Can you see what I'm doing in the Bible app? So he's commenting, and I had put on Facebook that I had sprained my ankle really bad and I'm wearing a boot. And he comments, I saw your Facebook post. I hope your foot is okay. And at first I was like, I blocked him on Facebook. Like, he's blocked on Facebook. How did he see that? So I just kind of ignored him on the Bible app because I was like, I'm doing my thing, man. Doing my thing. And I just ignored him. And then about 2:00 in the morning, he calls. And he said, I need closure. This is what he says to me. He goes, I need closure. And I said, okay. I thought we were having this. I don't understand what you're doing. I said, I love you. And I love you, and I'll always love you because there's these times where you made me feel loved, and I loved you. And he just started screaming at me. Now, I'm going to caveat in here. He was high, super high. So I think some of these emotions are coming through when he's texting me now. This is like days later. So he's high, and he's screaming at me that I am vindictive. He says, you're horrible. You're a vindictive person. You're a bad person. And I never want to talk to you again. How could you do this to me? And I mean, it's just this long drawn out how horrible I am. And then a few minutes later, I hung up on him. I'm not going to lie. I hung up. When he was yelling at me that I'm a vindictive, horrible person, I was like, I hung up. He calls me back. I answered it because I'm stupid. So I answered it. And I was like, you got to stop yelling at me. And again, it's 2:00 in the morning. And he's calmer. And he's telling me that he just can't be with me. And again, I haven't seen him in 8 weeks. He mentions that. He goes, well, how are you doing? You haven't had sex for 8 weeks. What are you doing? He goes, do you have a man in your life? Are you dating? And I said, well, I wasn't going to lie. I said, I went out with a guy. He goes, you went out with this guy. And how could you do that to me? Why are you going out with other men? I'm like, you have a girlfriend. all over the internet. Pictures. He goes, well, you would never put our pictures out on the internet. You would never tell anybody out on the internet about us. Again, he was yelling at me, and I was just like, I hung up. He calls back, and I said, I'm not going to talk to you if you're yelling at me. So he was calm, and he expressed his needs, and he wanted to come over. And I said, you are high as a kite. You're not coming over. You're not getting in the car. You're not coming over. We're not doing this. I can't do this. You have a girlfriend. And he goes, yeah, that's right. And I was like, I don't even know what to do with that. So we kept talking. He said he misses me, called me babe. And finally around 4 o'clock in the morning, I said, I've got to go to bed. And I hung up and I said goodbye, thinking that would be it. No, he wanted to come over still. And so that next day I got up in the morning and I said, I have to just disappear for a day or two. So hence my disappearing. He's still texting. And I'm earlier when I was at the grocery store, he texted and I said, listen, you have a girlfriend? Yes, I sure would love to have sex with you. I desire you, sure. But I can't do that. I won't do that to another woman. I've been through the heartbreak. I've been through betrayal. I can't do that to another woman. And here we are, still texting me. Don't know how to handle that. I'm kind of stuck. Hence why I started this conversation with myself.